Hello, this is Felicia from the Craft Sessions. I'm doing another short video today just to talk about how to learn to knit without looking. The post that I did last week on how to be faster at knitting, somebody mentioned in the comments that they learn much more easily through a video, so I thought I'd give you a quick video now to show you how I've learnt to knit without looking. This will work for throwing or flicking. If you knit continentally, this won't necessarily work the same because you are using your forefinger to tension the yarn. So to start with, I load the stitches on my needle, so that means to push them up towards the end of the needle. I use these two fingers here to hold that in place and keep them up towards the end. So I then am using these two fingers, my forefinger and my thumb, to hold the stitch in place. And the first thing that I do is I hold the stitch that's on the end of the needle in place with my forefinger. I do that for every stitch. My forefinger is the one that tells me that the stitch is there and also holds it in position. Because I'm tensioning the yarn to the right, the first stitch is open, and I can find it I can feel it with my thumb. I normally use my thumb to open it up, but as this is the first stitch, that's not the case. And then I slide the needle along the end of my thumb into the open stitch and over the top of my other finger. When I do that, I can feel the end of my thumb. I can feel that I've hit the needle just there, and then I can feel that I'm sliding over the top of my finger. I then wrap the yarn and pull it off, and then I move the next stitch into place using my forefinger. Because the yarn is tensioned to the right, it kind of pulls the stitches along. See how it does that? So it pulls the next one in place. I'm not actually going to get it with my forefinger normally. It's normally in place because I'm kind of pulling ever so slightly on the knitting. So just a few slowly. If you have a look at the next one, you'll see that what I'm actually doing is I kind of move the front of the stitch in front of my thumb. So my forefinger is holding it in place, and my thumb kind of pushes that just in front of it. So when I glide along the tip of my thumb, then that stitch is waiting there for me to go just to the left of it, in under the needle, and then around. So again, it's moving along. I don't really need to push them along. These two fingers are making sure that there's stitches there. And then I hold it in place, open it up, make sure that that stitch is in front of my thumb, glide along the top, under and around. Okay, so I will now show you purling. It's slightly different because you don't use your thumb, and that's because you're coming into your stitch from the opposite direction. I'll just get some yarn so this isn't wandering around. Okay, so again, load the stitches towards the end of the needle. You're coming into the stitch this way. Again, I'm holding it with my forefinger. So I'll tension the yarn. I can feel that it's opened the stitch because I'm pulling the yarn. So that stitch is open. And then I'm gliding kind of along the top of my pointer finger and into the stitch by staying really close to that needle. And then I'm pushing the needle tip out with my thumb. That one I've just dropped. Okay, so now holding it with my thumb, and I'm running along my forefinger along the needle into the stitch, and then I hold with my thumb, wrap and push out. Next one's in place. Gliding along my finger, along the needle and into the stitch. So in this case, the needles are nearly parallel but pointing at one another. So 180 degrees. And that kind of helps because I'm actually sliding into the stitch by sliding kind of along the needle. Okay, so please ask some more questions in the comments if you have any. And that is what I had to show you.